everyone, and welcome to another episode of the mini podcast Monday Motivation, brought to you by Dominate Your Day. I started Monday Motivation as a space for mini episodes to share inspiring ideas and thoughts for leaders in the workplace. As a former corporate leader, I know what it feels like just to need a little boost of inspiration each week. In each episode, I will share a topic to motivate and empower you. Today, we are talking about, and this whole month, we have been talking about just managing yourself, how to manage yourself. And so today we're going to be talking about mindset and how to prioritize your mindset and how that can be the foundation for success. So remember, your mindset is the bedrock from which all success is built. Without it, everything else is unsustainable. So I've been on this journey in the last couple of years, really studying mindset and what it means, and just each day working on my mindset, and it is work. But I came across this amazing woman who I fell in love with, her name is Edith Eger, and she wrote this amazing book called The Gift. Her story is very unique. Eger is a Holocaust survivor, and she teaches us the power of transcending our circumstances and nurturing our well-being no matter what life throws our way. She has a really inspirational quote saying that life's gifts come in strange packages. What's unique about Dr. Eger is she expands on her message of healing to change thoughts and feelings. She explains that the worst prison she created was not the Nazi prison, but the prison she created in her mind. Wow. She describes in her book, The Gift, the 12 most pervasive imprisoning thoughts she has known, which are fear, grief, anger, secrets, stress, guilt, shame, and avoidance. And then she talks about the tools she has used to deal with these challenges. What I learned from Dr. Eger are 7 key lessons in the book called The Gift. And the number one lesson I learned, the most important lesson I learned was self-talk. So how many times in those 90,000 thoughts we're having a day are we saying stuff to ourselves that isn't true? So an action item might be to craft and recite personal affirmations such as, I am one of a kind, or I have unique talents I can use every day. This is where I like to apply your strengths. And I actually have a downloadable guide where you can write your affirmations based on your strengths. And if you want that, just reach out to us at danawilliamsco.com. Lesson 2 is the concept of freedom is a choice. If you're going through something really hard, maybe think about shifting your mindset from why me to what now. I remember this flight attendant I had met years ago, and she was in a horrible accident and was paralyzed from the waist down. And she began shifting her mindset and started traveling around doing talks about saying, instead of saying why, what now? And I think about her every time I hear that, and how identifying and releasing what holds you back is something that gives you energy. So if you're doing that to yourself right now, why me? Start asking yourself, what now? Lesson 3 is understanding your thought patterns. Whew. When you talk about self-development, this one's hard. So reflect on your thoughts and behaviors without blaming others to identify and alter negative patterns, because we do have patterns. One of the things I like to do is have my people go back and do life maps and write the birth to now and then now to their future, and look at the patterns in their life of the ups and downs of life, and where they've seen God in there, where they've seen their strengths in there. What are those patterns that they're holding on to from their past that they shouldn't hold on to anymore? And what are the things they want to bring into their present? So look for the patterns and then reflect on those thoughts and behaviors and don't blame somebody else for the negative patterns you have. And then number 4 is find value in every experience. And this goes back to what we've been talking about all month. How can you adopt an inside out perspective to life? Seeking the hidden gifts in all situations. Here we have Dr. Eger in the worst of all situations in a Holocaust camp, and she's thinking about the prison she's created in her mind years later in her heart. And that was the worst prison she created. So she was able to go in, look at that, and then heal. And that took time. Number 5 is the power of curiosity. So, how can you engage and learn from those whom you might usually avoid? Who are those people that you just don't want to be around and that you put up the barriers every time you're around them? But what is something that maybe you can learn from them? And then lesson 6, letting go of seeking approval. This gets down to that people pleasing. How many of us are people pleasers and or in our past have done that? With something we're working on right now. Work on releasing yourself from the binds of perfectionism, guilt, and shame by finding your authentic self and embracing that. And the way you find that is doing this deep work about who you are, knowing your strengths, knowing your core values, and then all of a sudden your authentic self starts coming out. Lesson 7 is creating a supportive environment. So, how do you foster a space where emotions can be expressed freely and without judgment? And then how do you acknowledge and not minimize your pain, but actually choose to take a step forward in that situation? So, Edith has amazing, I could listen to her for hours, and podcasts and speeches and her book. Each of these lessons that Dr. Edith Eger offers is a pathway to more empowered and fulfilled life. So when you action these insights, this can lead to profound transformation in how we view ourselves and our capabilities. And one thing I want you to remember today is that the most limiting prisons are the ones we construct in our minds. Thank you, Dr. Eger, for sharing this with us. By adopting these lessons, you're not only surviving, you're thriving. So I want to thank Dr. Eger for bringing this to our attention and helping her journey encourage all of us. Quickly before we finish, most listeners don't yet follow the podcast. So every additional follower we get helps us to raise the profile of the podcast and bring you more episodes. So if you can do one thing for us today, then please hit the follow button and get updated whenever we put new content live. But if you want to do a second thing for us today, could you share this podcast with a friend? Thanks for listening and tune in next time.